Hi guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you get anything from my work, a connected dot, an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, artwork to create, please consider supporting my work. All the links will be at the bottom of the description of this channel, of this video. AlleyCatCreations211.com is my portfolio. You can see paint and sip paintings, all the craft and sips. I have to update it, FYI. All the pyramids, lots of pyramids and fun things behind me. All of that's up on my website. And if you really want something, please email me. The best way for you to get in contact with me is email. And then I do everything privately, so it's better that way. 3D memberships is a really great way to support my channel. It helps everything at this moment in time. And we have channel member only content where I do a whole bunch of oracle card readings, and I also do raffles once a month. I still haven't gotten my prints yet. I was told it was going to come by the beginning of this week. Didn't happen. Don't know what's going on. So I'm just waiting on them to get back to me. It wasn't a big job. It was like a few prints. So I'll see what happens when they get back to me. But I wanted to at least raffle one of them off. So if you are, we're probably going to postpone the raffle, but if you are a channel member, you get a free entry into the raffle. So just keep that in mind. I will post everything in the community tab of this channel so you can see it. Really excited today. We are going to read The Voice of Isis, chapter 24, The Light. Really excited about this one. I love their books. Um, yes. Quote, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. Genesis. That's one of my favorite quotes. Quote, fix thy soul's gaze upon the star whose ray thou art, the flaming star that shines within the lightless depths of ever being, the boundless fields of the unknown. End quote. The Voice of Silence, Blavatsky. In The Voice of Silence, we read of 4 periods called modes of truth, through which the candidate for discipleship must pass ere his feet can be truly planted upon the path, until he wakes up to the desirability of the spiritual life and has heard the voice of the divine in his heart. The candidate is passing through the first period, called in the Hindu coup, or the assembling of misery, or walking in darkness. When his gaze is turned toward the star of initiation, he calls down upon himself more rapidly his past karma. This period is called two, or the assembling of temptations. In the third period, he meets the conquerors, all temptation, and wipes out all old karmic debts, which period is called mu, the destruction of temptations. And only in the fourth period, called Tao, does he consciously enter upon the path. Powerful. Just as a candidate requires 4 periods of creation through which he must pass, he can create for himself a new life and a new world, his path. So in the creation of a planet, there are 4 days or periods in which there is completion of mere earth conditions, the path of the planet, preparatory to the real purpose of evolution, which is to prepare a field, the path, for the continued evolution of mankind. The first creation is that of light, symbolizing the light of the Christos, which breaks into the darkness of man's ignorance and sin, and turns his attention toward a higher life. This light perceived in his heart is called the star of initiation, because the first glimpse of its glory initiates him into a new world. And the memory of that flash leaves him no peace until he seeks its source. This light shines in the darkness of the unawakened soul, and the darkness comprehendeth not. It moves like the Spirit of God over the face of the restless waters of humanity, and awakens to life that which is latent therein. The darkness is pregnant with the potencies of all things, both good and evil, which at the breaking forth of the light become energized with new life and begin their slow evolution towards perfection. As with the earth, when God said, "Let there be light," so with the candidate. The instant he perceives the light of the Christ within, every hidden thing within him is energized and awakened to activity. For only by fermentation can the evil be transmuted and evolve into good. In the second period is created a firmament, and the waters are separated from the waters. In the life of the candidate, this period is passed in learning to separate his higher from his lower nature, in learning to separate the desires symbolized by water, the illusion, which drag him down from those which tend toward the higher life. By the separation, he creates for himself a positive ideal toward which to strive heaven, and recognizes the overshadowing of his higher self, the firmament. The acquired meaning of the word firmament is to make firm. The true meaning being an expanse, or the circle within which a definite creation takes place. In the second period, the candidate creates for himself a definite circle, or defines the limits of his spiritual aura. Within must evolve his spiritual body, just as the earth evolves within its firmament, or limits of its auric zone. In the third period, the dry land, the seas, and all vegetation producing seed after its kind is created. In the candidate, this is the period in which he brings forth and conquers his lower nature. He here gains the power of standing on a firm foundation, the dry land, and separating from this all that is illusory, the sea. He deliberately plants, and by the power of the divine will brings forth such seeds as he chooses. Only when this is accomplished to greater or lesser degree can he really enter the path itself. Only when he has grasped enough of the philosophy of the working of the divine law to give him a reason for the faith that is within him, a reason that cannot be shaken by doubts or sophistries, can he have a firm foundation upon which to stand. Each pupil is passing through one of these periods of creation, but only when he has reached the fourth has he really created the path. In ancient temples, the secret shrine was approached by 7 steps, the fourth of which was a broad terrace upon which most of the ceremonies took place. Only the few initiated priests and priestesses were permitted to ascend the higher steps, for the fourth step symbolized the path, and only those who had conquered the steps of approach, had created the path, could go higher. Some of you have reached this fourth step or period, while most of you are struggling upon one of the lower 3. Still assembling the various trials and temptations which must be met and conquered ere the path is entered. The trials that come to you are more than mere tests. When the God said, "Let there be light," the light began to penetrate into the darkness, the cast-off matter of a previous world period, all that had not been transmuted into good. This is the outer darkness into which the unprofitable servant is cast, which simply means that all the matter which should be the servant of its Lord, the Christ, but which fails to respond during one period of manifestation, must pass through a period of outer darkness, or lie in the grave until the resurrection of the dawn of the next Manvarata. In many respects, the darkness must be compared to a compost heap into which all refuse, effete, and usable matter is cast, there to the ferment in darkness until the next springtime when it can be spread upon the earth and its life force. Transmuted by the powers of the elements, can be utilized to bring forth flowers, fruits, and grains for the service and subsistence of man. This accumulated mass is darkness because it is composed of dead matter, incapable of reflecting light. In the same way, the candidate in his past lives has left a trial of darkness composed of emanations, which he has failed to redeem. This is often poetically alluded to as the trial of the serpent. In the voice of the silence, it is the shadow of thyself outside the path cast on the darkness of thy sins. Like the darkness of chaos, it is pregnant with the germs of that which must ultimately come into light and be redeemed by its creator. Be transmuted into the force that shall bring forth life more abundantly. It was only in the fourth day that the path of the earth's evolution was really entered upon. When the greater and lesser lights, the stars, the days and nights, the times and seasons were created, only when this period was reached was the earth ready for the evolution brought over from a past world period to continue. The lonesome, creeping things of the darkness were not created by the light, but were all in the darkness, simply awaiting the energizing force of the light to quicken them. The light was sent into the darkness not to stir up evil, but by the omniscient law, which recognizes that only by fulfilling its destiny can evil be transmuted into good. The evil weeds must grow, be uprooted, die, and give their life force back to the soil, or their power can manifest as food for man. So with the candidate, he must penetrate the darkest depths of his being and not deny, but face and recognize all he finds therein, he can conquer. This he does through the divine power of the Christ when he says, "Let there be light." There is then created in him two great lights, the masculine force of the sun and the feminine force of the moon. The greater to rule the day, the lesser the night. The sun force is the masculine quality of reason, which gives him light, courage, and power to grapple with the temptations and problems of his everyday life, while the moon force, lesser only in that it is less apparent, is the intuition which will illuminate his darkness night and give him the power to understand the forces of his inner nature. The instant the star of initiation sends down this twofold ray into the darkness of his earth life, every creeping thing, not only in his heart, but also in his environment, comes forth. The instant he speaks the word, all this darkness fills with thought currents of evil, powerful, malignant, deadly beyond description, but heretofore inert, asleep, quiescent, will be stirred into life, in this way participating his karma upon him. In the creation of the earth, it was the assembled gods, the Elohim, who spake the word, "Let there be light," and the chaotic mass out of which the new world was to evolve began its evolution. It was the offscourgings, that which they themselves had left behind when they reached godhood in previous world periods, and consequently it was their own creation and theirs to redeem. So with the candidate, the darkness, the evil, the temptations that assail him are his own. I have a Freya here. He has created them in past ages. And when he comes to this conscious step where, of his own free will, he determines to create his immortal body, all that is left over material must be purified and redeemed, for only out of it can he build his immortal habitation. Try to think of a God consciousness so comprehending this law and so recognizing the needs of the creatures of the darkness, and so filled with the determination to bring out of evil that in speaking the word, the full comprehension of all the steps of the evolution of the chaotic darkness with the immense suffering and misery through which it must pass as a result of the purifying process was fully grasped. Moreover, having the consciousness that the light he was sending into the darkness was his very self, his consciousness, his soul substance, and that all the sin and suffering that man would pass through on the road to redemption would be his own, that every pang must be suffered with a godlike power to understand its keenness, bitterness, still in divine compassion, seeing the end from the beginning, would nevertheless speak the word unflatteringly, and in speaking it would take upon himself the whole burden of the transmutation of the evil into good. This is the true meaning of redemption through love. For the world was not redeemed by the crucifixion of one man. However much that man manifested the Christ, and however much of the darkness was redeemed thereby, it is by the daily and hourly crucifixion of the conscious power of the Godhead, the Christ, in matter, the living in the darkness and suffering with it until, atom by atom, the whole is transmuted by his life force, the symbolic blood, that the redemption of the world is accomplished. Every earnest soul who recognizes this principle and takes upon himself the redemption of his own creations thus becomes a redeemer to the extent and releases the Christ from the cross through the crucifixion of his own personality. Do not think of the Christ as an impersonal force, a mere law of action, but as the full consciousness of the Godhead, which is literally wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes are we healed. For in him, the Christ, dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Some conception of this divine sacrifice must penetrate the consciousness of every sincere follower of the light, and in a lesser sense, he must have the same willingness to suffer and endure with and through his creations. And for the same reason, the divine compassion, which would not that any perish, but all have eternal life. This is an effort to make your finite minds grasp an infinite reality, but at least a faint conception of this infinite love and compassion and yearning to create and redeem must be grasped, ere the candidate can hope to set foot upon the path. For this thought is the illumination given by the star of initiation, or the light shining in the darkness. Only the light of the star of the divine love can give him strength to brave the lions in the way. The vision of the light may be but a fleeting glimpse, but it will awaken within him a response that will forever urge him on until victory is obtained. If you carry this lesson into your own lives, you will see why so many undreamed of trials and temptations are the first result of your determination to lead a spiritual life. The more powerful the light, the more earnestly you determine to lay every corner of your life open to it. The more you will let the light shine out into the darkness of surrounding conditions, the more will the germs of unsuspected traits and temptations awaken to life and assail you, and evil conditions surround you. Conditions of sickness, poverty, lack of love, and appreciation, and many other adverse things. These conditions do not come to you to hurt you, nor are they sent by any great being who desires to see you squirm, as a scientist might impale a beetle on a pin or cut out a frog's heart to see how long it would beat. But they come to you, their creator, to be redeemed because they were latent in your personality, and the first beams of the Christ star penetrating the darkness awaken them to life. They are not sent to see you prove your strength by conquering them, although you grow stronger with everything you conquer, but they are the denizens of your deep creatures of your own past evil thoughts, the devils, which behold the Christ, the light, and tremble. The word tremble is not used here with the idea of fear. but the idea of quivering with the vibrations of the new life as it imparts a higher rate of vibration to the latent substance of evil. Hence, a recognition of this fact and determination to redeem all by the power of the Christ will transmute it into good. Therefore, don't be surprised if things assail you more than formerly. Do not expect that seeking for spiritual wisdom will make life easy or will mean that all your trials are over. Do not seek the Christ life for the purpose of making your pathway in life smooth, your body free from disease, or your environment free from inharmony and trial. For if you seek it for the purpose, know well that you have not really spoken the creative word and must reap bitter disappointment. These things must come, but if you are strong and determined and earnest and fearless and keep crying on, let there be light, you will have the power of the light to pass this step. For the step is a destruction or transmutation of all temptations into the strength necessary to enter consciously into the path. Take courage. Never say, I cannot. For by the power of thy Christ within you can. There is nothing in yourself or your environment that cannot transmute into good. For all constitute the worldly goods given you by the Father in heaven, out of which you must create your immortal habitation. Whatsoever you put behind you and say you cannot conquer today must pass into the outer darkness. Outer in that it is out of your present life, there to remain until you are strong enough once more to take it up and redeem it. Your loving Father will help you. In tenderest pity, he sees your struggles and your despair, but if you give up and cry, I cannot, that in mercy you are lifted out of the path and unto night sleep is given you in which to gather strength. You must await the light of another day. For know well that you must come again and take up the task again and again until all is redeemed. It is often remarked that many reach a certain point of development and then apparently fall back. This means that they have failed in some important task and are awaiting the coming of a new day period. But the enemies he slew in the last battle will not return to life in the next birth that will be his. Fear not, go forward, even though the darkness be full of life. If thou wouldest not be slain by them, then must thou harmless make thy own creations the children of thy thoughts, unseen and palpable, that swarm around humankind, the progeny and heirs to man and his terrestrial spoils. But if thou fix thy soul's gaze upon the star whose ray thou art, it will lead thee into the path. Truth. Be not discouraged, for you are able and strong. You shall come forth victorious, but ask not that one drop of bitterness pass until all is transmuted, until you have drained the cup, and its dregs have found the jewel of great price, for which a man will sell all that he hath to possess. Keep on crying, let there be light. Create and redeem. For thereby shall you pass through the 5th and 6th periods, and shall come to the 7th, when ye shall rest from your labors, and God within shall see his creations and pronounce them good. Just as this is true of each individual, so it is true of this moment. And as a moment, it must pass through the same periods or stages. The trumpet blast has gone forth. Let there be light. Sorry, guys. And all the hosts of the evil are stirring into activity at the sound. The movement must be created by the united effort of every candidate, for each is individually responsible for its success. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the days, in the evil day, and having done all to stand, and above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. That ends the chapter. The next one is the 2 tables of stone. But my goodness, this is what a lot of us have been going through. The dark nights, the stepping stones, the initiations, the transmuting the negative energy into positivity. It's going in the darkness and being the light within your own darkness and transforming it. And I know each and every one of us that watches me have trials and tribulations that are like beyond incomprehensible right now. I know I'm going through it myself. And it's heavy. But there's a lot of good things in this section that helps you understand the process. I don't really align so much with the ending, but there's enough here that holds a lot of weight for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this section. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within, be the shoulders, be the lighthouse, seed your truths, light that path forward. I hope to see you all in the next one. This was a fantastic read. Holy moly. Wow. And let me know in the comments what spoke out to you and what do you think? I would love to hear it. Until the next time, guys, thank you for watching. Bye for now.